Bump, bump, ba-da-dum, bump, bump, bring. Oh, there we go. Bendy for a Tuesday morning. That's what it is. Here on the Blue Review, presented by LAX. I'm Marcus Grant. That is Parker Bell. No Greg Bergman today, so the two of us, plus you all in the chat. So we are certainly welcome to take your questions, any comments as we get into it. Dodgers with an off day yesterday, and they start the final 6 games of the regular season. A trip to Arizona, followed by a trip to Seattle. Magic number still at 3. The Padres got a win and officially actually clinched a playoff spot last night by beating the Brewers in 11 innings. So, that's that. How are we feeling on Tuesday morning, Parker?
Good. Like you mentioned, Greg's out. I believe celebrating Rosh Hashanah. So
Correct.
Shouts out to Greg. And I'm feeling pretty good. Magic number's still 3. Padres not making it easy, but I think overall Dodgers are in the spot that they want to be. We're this much closer to Ohtani's first 2-way October, baby.
Yeah. We got it because was it Matthew Moreno who says he came up with the phrase "Kicktober" for Kike Hernandez? I don't know. Does he go Showtober? Is it Ohtani? I don't know how we have to figure out what the thing's gonna be for Shohei when he's playing 2 ways in the postseason. So we can get into that in a little bit too. But first, as always, I want to give a shout out to the folks at LAX, Los Angeles International Airport, transforming the travel experience, saving guests time. The People Mover train, hopefully up and running by early next year. It was why when we started saying early next year, it was back in March.
Yeah.
Next year felt like a long ways away. Now here we are in late September. Next year really isn't that far away. So for more information, you can go to flylax.com/transforminglax.
Moving too quick, Marcus. Week 3's already done of NFL. We're playoff time in baseball.
I mean, I saw a promo yesterday reminding us that the wild card series starts on September 30th, which is exactly a week from today. So, this as sometimes it's felt like a grind, but in reality, it has flown by. So, yeah. So the question was, I saw this from Chrissy in the chat. Do we know who's pitching today? In theory, it's Ohtani. He's the guy that's listed as the starter against Brandon Pfaadt. Do we think that's going to happen? I've seen some chatter that maybe they're going to shuffle some things around. Do we expect to see Ohtani as the starter opener today, or could Dave pull a switcheroo on us?
Well, he's already done so the last start, so It's totally possible. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but I do think we'll get Ohtani. It's just a matter of how long we'll get him. I mean, I don't know where they stand when it comes to, hey, we're close to the playoffs, let's just give him 5, because it seems to not be pitch count. It's been about innings this whole season until we get to the playoffs at least. So, or maybe even when we do get into the playoffs, I don't know how they want to treat the superstar. But yeah, I think we most likely will see him pitch in some capacity today. I mean, I hope so, at least.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think for now it's best to kind of keep everything status quo, just because you still haven't locked up the division. I get it, the playoff spot is already there,
exactly.
But while the chances are slim, your magic number is 3. There is a chance that the Padres could still come and overtake you for the division. So it feels like it's best to kind of lock that up, which means throwing your best guys when you have the opportunity. And then, if it's all done by the time you leave Arizona and get to Seattle, then I think that's the time to maybe give a guy a day off, see what else you got at this point. But I can't do it right now for sure. So other than that,
well, and you have to think about that the Diamondbacks, it's more than status quo at the moment, because they're only one back from that last spot. It's them, the Reds and Mets are just fighting. So you're gonna get the absolute best out of this squad, and I mean, you got to bring it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because even I think if the Diamondbacks had nothing to play for, they show up against the Dodgers.
I feel like they do just revel in ruining people's seasons towards the end. I think that's a very Diamondback thing to do. Them, and for some reason the Angels always have something to do with like, hey, they kind of ruin the Mariners' first place spot. It always happens in that way.
Yeah, so I mean, the Diamondbacks are going to bring it anyway, but now, as you mentioned, yeah, they are a game back of that last wild card spot. The Mets at the moment, actually, I think technically the Mets, I think, are out of the playoffs at the moment. They are tied with the Reds for the last spot, but the Reds hold the tiebreaker. So, that old, if the playoffs started today, the Mets would be at home, which is a wild thought considering how they started. Similarly, the Tigers are barely hanging on over in the American League, which, again, a wild statement considering how they began the season. So, that this is sort of where we are. Going through the chat and saw a couple of things about Roki Sasaki. Let's see, what was the one that really caught my eye? Oh, from Rizio, DFA Kirby Yates and replace him with Roki Sasaki. I know they're still sort of evaluating, and that Sasaki's last few outings have been really good. They've been working him out of the pen. Obviously, we know what Kirby Yates has done or not done, I guess, all season long. Your feeling on whether or not it could be Sasaki? Well, I think we're pretty all agreed that it's not going to be Yates in the bullpen in the postseason. But could we see Roki Sasaki make his return for the postseason? And should he actually come back before that to make sure he gets a couple innings in before the playoffs?
So I feel like, this whole season we've been really trying to find things to cling on to for hope, because it wasn't the season that we expected. And the bullpen, how things turned out, this appears to be and feels like a moment of honestly desperation. And I'm not saying that in a negative light on Sasaki, but you're talking about a man, a young man who's never pitched as a reliever before. Just in the minors, it was last week was his first time ever doing so. So you're looking at a situation where total uncertainty, and it's out of reaction because of guys like Yates, guys like Kopech. And I don't know how to feel about it necessarily. He does have reliever stuff when it comes to the mechanics that they've fixed, and now he's pushing 100 consistently, and it could be something that does really, really work out, but it is a huge gamble. It really is. I mean, are we going to see him before the playoffs even start? I know that this week would be the week that they do so, but it's going to be a very situational thing. So he might get 2 or 3 opportunities before going into a very intense series. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily too positive on it, to be honest. It's just, again, who do we trust? Not really anybody. So why not?
Yeah, that's the issue, is that they're still finding arms they can trust. I think in some ways the Dodgers maybe painted themselves into a tough situation because Dave Roberts, what you can decide if it's to his credit or to his detriment, but he has decided to stay with his guys, right? So that meant giving opportunities to Trinan, to Yates, to Kopech. I mean, at this point, Tanner Scott's going to be on the roster. He's actually pitched better his last few outings. That's your guy, man. Stand by your man. He's been pretty good in his last couple of outings. So
Sasaki
he's going to be on the
up
playoff.
to Scott.
Right. I mean, so that's the thing, right? Are we going to have a thing where it's Roki Sasaki coming in? I just can't imagine he gets high leverage innings right off the bat, right? Like I can't see, it's the 7th inning or 8th inning in a 1-run game, and suddenly you're bringing Roki Sasaki in for his first real relief experience. Like that feels like asking too much for a guy who has spent most of this year trying to, 1, regain his velocity, and 2, find his command. But I could see a scenario where, your starter gets you into the 5th, maybe has a high pitch count, so you bring Sasaki in to start the 6th, maybe start the 7th inning. I could imagine a scenario like that, but I would like to see him do it sometime during the next week, with the major league club. That's
tomorrow's his first. Tomorrow will be his first chance to pitch, and then again, that's if the situation comes up, I mean, there could be a scenario where they're up a lot and down a lot, and it might be a good chance to get in there and just try it. But it'll be very, very interesting to see what they do, because you just can't continue to roll out Blake, unwavering faith or not. This is a historically bad stretch that he's on. Honestly, I feel like we were talking good or bad. Dodgers have had some historical moments.
Yeah, we were talking about that in the text chain. I found a post from Mike Petriello, who had dug up that Blake Trinan has been the losing pitcher in each of LA's last 5 losses. Dating back to 1912, this is a first. 13 times one pitcher has worn 4 of his team's losses in a row. Most recently, 1994, Tim Belcher with the Tigers, but never 5. So Blake Trinan doing something that hasn't been done since Tungsten Armo Doyle of the Akron Groomsmen in 1912. Yeah, that's kind of the run it's been for Blake Trinan lately. I've also seen some folks in the chat talking about Kyle Hurt. He's very much in the mix. He's had some good rehab there in OKC, and what's the last one? I think a 7-inning appearance over the weekend. So he's very much in line to be part of the bullpen. How do you feel about the fact that there will be potentially some bullpen arms that haven't gotten a whole lot of work at the major league level? Are we okay with that? I mean, I guess it's kind of just what it's going to be at this point.
Yeah, you said it perfectly right there. It is going to be what it's going to be. So you got Brock Stewart, who's been sidelined with shoulder problems for a majority of the time since his trade deadline acquisition. He rejoins the squad in Arizona. You got Will Klein, who was just called up from the minors, for the 3rd time, I think it was, in this season last week. And I mean, he didn't look terrible. He struck out the side Saturday. He had like a leadoff double he gave up, I think, on scoreless inning in Sunday. So there's a couple guys and a couple names who, we haven't seen do much for the Dodgers this season. But then again, we haven't seen them do bad things for the Dodgers this season. So maybe because we've seen some bad things out of everybody else outside of Vesia.
Yeah, I've seen some rough things there. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the active roster right now and just sort of mentally checking who will and won't, or at least should be there. I mean, obviously Yates is not going to be on the playoff roster, but I would think you're going to get some innings out of Wrobleski. He is probably going to be your bulk guy if you need it at any point, because he can give you multiple innings. We know Vesia will be there. Do we think Blake Trinan will be on this playoff roster? I mean, I think the consensus amongst fans that he shouldn't, but, will Dave Roberts lean on his guy and keep him on this roster?
Unwavering faith to me was just too much of an indicator. I believe that he will, and I think that's just that the organization doesn't rely on desperation. So despite all the talk of Sasaki being a savior, unless he goes, immaculate inning, and then obviously not that high, but if he goes near perfect these next 3 attempts that he gets, similarly to a guy like Klein, it will be Trinan. And I think that's just solely based off of prior track record and how this organization runs. They trust their vets. And it's unfortunate for the fans' perspective, because the last 5 losses on Trinan, and you expect us to just be comfortable when he gets up there. No, but we've said it a few times in this episode. It's the world we're in, and it is what it is. But this offense better perform like they have not performed before.
Well, yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, I feel like, at least for the most part, obviously there was Sunday against the Giants where they only scored the 1 run. But before that, the offense really had been clicking, which I think for a lot of us is what made those losses even more frustrating, right? I mean, you had that series against the Phillies where you saw really good pitching and the offense did its best to grind out runs. I mean, they got 4 runs off Christopher Sanchez, which is just a thing teams aren't doing this year. They're battling against the bullpen, hitting home runs on Joan Duran and just finding ways to score runs to have the bullpen give it up. Even against the Giants, 3 of those 4 games, the offense showed up in a big way. Like I said, they didn't they got shut down on Sunday. But even then, they had a 1-0 lead until Trinan came in and promptly gave up 3 runs. So we'll see if it comes back. Yeah,
and I see the chat. Henriquez, I see they've brought him up a few times in the chat. We haven't necessarily mentioned him. I know he's had moments throughout the season where we're like, oh, that could be the name.
Yeah.
A Bruzdar type, a flamethrower in essence. Obviously, the control has just not been there the last few outings. Well, more than a few. But where are you on him? I mean, is he somebody who you think makes the roster, or are they going to go with some of these guys who they know they can? Not rely on, but just guys they've seen before.
Well, I think Henriquez makes the roster, and I think I was going to say he fills the spot that maybe Kopech vacates, but I don't know if they give him those opportunities. Maybe. I mean, maybe Henriquez is your 7th inning guy, right? A guy that comes out of the bullpen that can throw 100 miles an hour. The issue for him has been sort of control and command, because he can throw and hit triple digits consistently. When he starts missing his spots, teams have been patient enough to kind of wait him out, and then they'll just kind of keyhole one and hit him hard when he's in the zone. So if he can come in, if he can throw 99, 100 and do it with command and accuracy, I think he absolutely deserves a spot on this roster. So I think he makes it. I'm wondering what happens with a guy like Will Klein, who's given them some innings this year. Does he make it in favor of a Kyle Hurt? Does he make it in favor of a Roki Sasaki? I think he's kind of a bubble guy in terms of this bullpen in the postseason right now.
Yeah, I think everywhere else the Dodgers are good. So obviously there's a reason we talked so much about bullpen, because these last 6 games you're going to figure out what they're going to do. Or, I mean, because it's like, are you going to give these innings to the Scotts, to the Bondas to try to figure it out? Or are you going to give them to the guys who are like, whoa, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen here, the unknown entities like Sasaki? So it's really a toss-up. You could try both, but there's not a lot of games left to do so. So, hey, balls are in your court, Dodgers.
Yeah, I think that's the problem right now, is just that there's just not a lot of games to kind of figure things out, that they have spent the last several weeks auditioning guys for the bullpen and kept giving guys opportunity when those guys were flaming out. And so now you are in a situation, you've got 6 games left to try and figure out, I don't know. I mean, how many spots are there left, right? You've got your 6 frontline guys. If you're going to carry 13 pitchers, then that means there's 7 spots left. When you figure Bonda, Dreyer are there for sure. Scott makes 3. Vesia, Robleski are 4 and 5. So now you've got 2 spots left. You got Sasaki, Hurt, Stewart, all sort of auditioning for it. You've got Will Klein kind of hanging around. That's right there. Henriquez, I didn't mention. That's 5 guys for 2 spots. And you got 6 days to figure it out.
Yeah. And maybe they're just comfortable enough knowing they have the fallback of Sheehan and Kershaw. So there's always the case where you just happen to have a golden outing from each of your main 4. And then you just have, you're blessed with, okay, sweet, we still have 2 solid starters who we can just throw out there for however many innings you need. So maybe they're along the lines of like, hey, whoever those last 2 bullpen guys are, we're not too worried. And that does make me feel like, okay, then maybe they will go with like a more like a Sasaki, somebody who's a little less proven, just because, hey, why not? If you could strike gold with it, then that's something. But we have Kershaw, we have Emmett Sheehan who can take bulk innings.
Chances that, Dave or Andrew Friedman watch this show and they're going to spring us with the piggyback plan.
Guys, Bergman said so. You have to do it.
That would be wild. If all of a sudden we just get like, hey, Blake Snell's going to open game 1 and then we're going to follow it up with, whatever, Clayton Kershaw or something like that.
Yeah, if the piggyback plan happens in this playoffs, I need all however many thousands of people saw it on social media to come to the Blue Review.
Come to the Blue Review, and just we'd have to give Greg his flowers if they actually use the piggyback plan for
we
the
just
postseason.
do like a Star Wars celebration scene. We're just like
exactly.
We just got like Berg on a chair.
Oh, he'll never let us forget it too if that actually happens at this point. I just saw this from Jazz Meat. Saying the Dodgers may have 3 catchers on their roster. That is also another part that we haven't really talked about. I know we're almost out of show here, but Will Smith not expected back for the regular season. They're hoping for the playoffs, but even then it might not be until the division series at best, maybe the NLCS, something like that. I would think if he's not available, they're not going to keep him on the roster for the wild card series, and then they'll reevaluate at the division series. But a Rortvet rushing catching duo, I don't think is what anybody had in mind going into the playoffs.
No, not at all. And I know that people have come to, except for Jeff Spiegel, have come to back Rortvet.
Rortvet, that's right.
But the thing is, I mean, neither are hitting, so it's not the greatest scenario. But both are honestly calling decent games. Rortvet a little better in terms of just defensively. I guess he's probably just a little more experienced. I think that's what it comes down to. Blocking balls and less pass balls in his end. So defensively, you're going to be okay on that side. So at least I have some confidence knowing that the defense has bolstered itself these last couple months. Teoscar's been better out there in the outfield. So I feel confident in terms of all those like lackadaisical errors and all those small things that they were making mistakes on aren't necessarily happening. So in that sense, we're good. And the front end of the lineup has really been carrying. So, hey, for those people who are a little worried about the catcher situation, if Will comes back a little healthy, then they'll be okay. But the other guys can carry until the CS. But I think John Ireland said it yesterday during Mason and Ireland. Without Will Smith, they don't win the World Series. And I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of that opinion too. I think they need him. They need, obviously his bat for sure, but I think his just presence behind the plate is going to be important. So heal up quick, Will. We miss you. We need you back just in time for the playoffs. Tonight from Chase Field, first pitch at 6:40 Pacific time. It'll be Shohei Ohtani versus Brandon Pfaadt. At least those are the listed starters for this game. Pfaadt seeing the Dodgers for the 4th time this season. It's kind of been a mixed bag. Although his last outing overall was a great one against the Giants about a week ago. Went 9 innings, no runs on 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. A game though that the Diamondbacks actually ended up losing in 11 innings, but not because of anything Brandon Pfaadt did. So we'll see if the Dodgers can get to him tonight.
Very Yamamoto-esque.
Very Yamamoto. I'm sure him and Yoshi could swap stories about how that sort of thing goes. So we'll be back with you tomorrow, of course, to talk about it. Greg should be back with us tomorrow as well. But thanks to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. We appreciate you guys. Thanks to everybody at LAX for helping us out with this whole thing as well. I see both Cap and Sedano have logged on to the interwebs, which means the Sedano Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up in just a bit. Stick around here on the ESPN LA YouTube channel. We'll be back with you here at 6:30 a.m. mañana. For Parker Bell, I am Marcus Grant. This has been the Blue Review presented by LAX. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you.
Happy Rosh Hashanah and
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. There it is. I almost
there it is. We'll see you.